Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Parallax Puddles, Pib Extra, Melissa S., Mike from the Old Switcheroo podcast, Matt aka Stormageddon, Ryan K., Doug from the Nostalgia Arcanum podcast, Gilmer, Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation, Stephen P., and Mr. Biscuits have all been wonderful enough to support the show over there. So if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading, 2025 in review. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and it's come to that time of year, our annual retrospective episode where, every year I sit down and I kind of look back at the year on the podcast, but I don't do it alone. My brother from the Great White Nort, who from his home in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, with a backpack full of goddamn maple syrup and a heart full of dreams, constructed his own ice skates out of paper boat poutine containers that were glued together with tree sap and moose dung. He skated on those ice skates down the Moose Jaw River, passing Thunder Creek, and eventually found his way to the border of Niagara, where he convinced a Mountie to let him wear his uniform and borrow his horse, and in his bright red fanfare he trotted all the way to Pennsylvania, just so he could record a podcast with me. TJ Hodder is here. TJ, how are you doing, my friend?
How's it going, Okay, so first off, just for the listeners out there who don't know, I'm not actually from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, but
no, he's not. You're from Ontario.
If I was, it'd be funnier if I was.
You are. It's good to talk to you, buddy. East.
It's good to talk to you, buddy. It's always a pleasure getting to do this with you and just taking some time to look back on the year with you. It's always fun.
It's a good time, man. And I feel stupid saying this. My favorite thing is coming up with that over-the-top introduction every year of just the most non-existent Canadian bullshit, like the Canadian stereotype that's not actually true, but whatever the American probably thinks. You know what I mean? I find it endlessly funny coming up with this bullshit, and it makes me chuckle every single time. So I appreciate that you don't get mad every time I do it.
Oh, dude, it's the best. Well, also, as I've said many times before over the years, I'm like the worst Canadian. I don't ice skate, I don't play hockey, I don't even follow hockey, like none of the above. I do have poutine and maple syrup, so I got that going for me.
Hey man, at least you get poutine up there. We don't even get poutine down here. Like that's none of that.
Travesty.
We get like cheese fries, but that's it's not really the same.
I'm partial to cheese on fries of any kind. I believe in a world where any cheese on fries is acceptable.
I'd vote for you as president with that type of slogan.
Imagine running on that. But we're not going to. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure everybody gets all the cheese on the fries they could possibly need.
No, he would take all the cheese on everyone's fries.
The cheese tax would be a real thing.
We're going to put a tariff on Canadian cheese.
We're going to go ahead and put a tariff on all Canadian cheese.
Fucking asshole. Fuck that guy.
All right. They're going to get flagged.
Nope. I have never mind. We're just going to, we'll leave it there, but fuck that guy.
We're just going to leave him there. Oh, no, you might lose a follower over that.
I don't give a fuck. So anyway, we're coming in spicy, Canadian spicy, which means a whole shitload of maple syrup. Sorry, Canadian spicy, according to my intro, is a backpack full of maple syrup and a bunch of dreams and a heart full of dreams.
Full of dreams or whatever you said. I love it.
Oh my gosh, TJ! I always look forward I look forward to this every year. I've said before, you and I, our shows are so different, but we can. You were the first podcasting friend that I ever made, and we, so much so that we like exchange numbers and we text each other. Now we didn't text too much this year, but in other years we have texted a lot. Even so, I think it was even last year we called each other, and that actually gave me. This was not your fault. I called you and I got a long distance phone call bill. They charged me like $100 for our call. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Not you, TJ, but my fucking cell phone company.
I didn't
Fuck
actually
that.
know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
they charged you that much.
They charged me for that phone call like a year and a half ago. I'm like, this bastard. It's like, come on.
Those sons of bitches.
I know. I was pissed. But it was worth it
Oh
because I got to
no.
chat with you.
Yeah. Well, and like, this year has been so crazy just with life
Dude,
and
yeah.
work and stuff. And I had some personal stuff that happened that I'll talk about in a little bit here. But like I it was like, I swear to God, dude, like before I knew it, I'm like, oh, it's like December. Shit, okay.
Time for Josh to reach out to me for our
Yep. I was
annual
like, oh shit, I
episode.
guess it's time for our annual conversation.
That the only time in the whole year we chat, but it never really feels like that. It feels like just yesterday we chatted.
Oh, for sure. Well, and like, you were saying earlier, like you were also my first podcast friend. And I mean, that was, when was it, how long ago was that? That had to have been
Dude,
at least
we looked it up one time. It was something like I think it was like
2017.
2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was
2017.
crazy. But yeah, here we are to look at look back at our year at our respective podcasts. I know you've had a lot of changeover between the Hodder show and Tapes of Trepidation, so I'm sure you'll touch on all that. For Still Loading, it's been a pretty good year. Like also kind of similar to what you were saying, this year on a personal level has been a bit of a whirlwind, without going into a crazy amount. And I'm this is not asking for anything, just to be clear. I'm just being honest about like where my stressors were. It was just a tough year financially. My wife and I are doing much better now. She got a new job that pays more, so like that's why I want to just stress, like, this is not like some pity plea or like some emotional plea for like Patreon type of shit. I don't know, I just get nervous that people would think that, but that's just where the stressors this year lied. And we survived. We're doing better now. It's a lot. It's a huge swing, so that's been nice. And honestly, since my wife got that new job a couple months ago, like a month or so ago, like I feel like I've been able to breathe again. So like this year was like a blur, and then the last like month, all of a sudden I'm seeing clear. It's been a weird year.
Well, I'm glad at least you guys were able to kind of get things under control again. Cause I mean, I think pretty much everybody can understand that as far as having the
Yeah,
stressors of
everyone's hurting right
financial.
now.
I mean, same, it's pretty much everyone you talk to in the world is just like, how's it going? Oh, I could use more money. Well, I mean, yeah, everyone kind of has uh, the same thing. So, I mean, hey, I can relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of people listening can too. You could always,
Hmm.
can always use more money. That's never, that's never, just, you can be comfortable, but you can always use more. It's the unfortunate reality of life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What? So how have things on the show been on your end with Tapes of Trepidation and everything? Like, Still Loading it was honestly like a deceptively great year. Like, not because of anything. Yeah, like I said, it was just such a blur. Like, I got to the end of the year like not feeling all that much about, like, not feeling like particularly like one way or another about the show, which is weird. Like normally I feeling pretty good or this and that, and I was like, wow, that's weird. And then I took a look back, actually like looked at the episodes I put out. I was like, oh shit, there was some good shit that just came out this year. I'm really genuinely proud of. So what about you, man? Like how did you feel about your year overall?
I definitely feel like I had, like, obviously this is, with Tapes Trepidation, my horror podcast, for those who don't know. It was my second year doing the podcast. So lots of growth, looking at the statistics from last year to this year. I, technically doubled my listenership.
That's
So that's
awesome.
that's cool. That's great. Everything's heading for that steady but slow but steady growth is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And just had a lot of fun. So I think my cat's scratching to get out. That's the noise. It was distracting me. Uh, just good, steady growth. You know what I mean? And a lot of really kind words, some new friends, lots of great supporters. I had just overall just had a blast. And
hmm
having an outlet like tapes, where it's a different type of creativity, right? It's fiction, and it's you can do anything you want in the horror world. So like I can be as creative and out there as I want, or I can be as, dark and brooding as I want, depending on the kind of mood I'm in.
hmm
Uh, so to have that and then look at the year and just be like, I mean, even just looking at statistically speaking, like, last year my top country was Canada by a mile, which didn't surprise me. But then now this year, the United States actually is, by quite a bit more, which means I have more listeners in the States, which is amazing because it's not just me
hmm
pressing refresh on all my episodes. So overall, it's been great. I've had a blast, and I feel like I'm just repeating myself over and over again, but yeah, just it was fun overall, and it was
You're
a
a
blast, and
podcaster.
that's
You're
what.
going to repeat yourself over and over
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
That's just what we do.
that's what we do. That's what we've both been doing for 10 years. Well, you more
hmm
than 10 years at this point. um
11 years, baby.
11 years, that's
11
crazy.
years young. I still got this. Still got the spring in my step.
Yeah, and is just for the sake of saying, because people are hearing this on the Hodder show feed. Hi guys, what's up? it's, it's been a year.
Since
um
the last time you heard him.
yes, and it was with this, obviously, the Hodder show is, uh not really a thing anymore. You guys are going to see me again this year for sure, for something, and I'll maybe talk a little more about it then. But even with the Harder show, it was just realizing that my real love and passion is for the world of, my horror audio and the tapes trepidation. Like it's just, I was saying to you earlier, it's like the amount of creative satisfaction I get from it compared to anything I've done. And I've done a lot of shit, like, all the stuff I've done. And
hmm
it's just like, it's so awesome. And last year, the first year was more just like, okay, this is fun for the sake of being fun, which is great. And that's really important. And then this year, it was even more fun and important for me. And, with the struggles of this year, having this outlet, but then also to see that, like, oh, there was actually growth, like real growth. And there was actually some cool stuff that happened. And, we're going to talk about our top episodes in a minute, and like seeing that some of my favorite episodes were the top episodes, like just
hmm
little things like that was just so great. So I just feel, hopefully I'm getting it across, that I just feel so great about it. And, you know, big shout out to all of my supporters and the Patreon supporters specifically, who are actually hearing this on the Patreon feed for Tapes Trepidation. What's up? How's it going? Uh, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really awesome.
That's great to hear, man. That's awesome. It, I think also like something we've said it on other episodes, other retrospectives before, but I think sometimes in the content creation game that like which kind of I feel like belittles especially what you do with it, which is actual like audio dramas and stuff like that. Like you're putting soundscapes together and shit. Um I'm just having conversations into the mic. But what I was going to say was I feel like sometimes we don't stop to smell the roses in a sense. Like I think back on like my show, like right now, my most recent episode at the time of this recording is on, oh my gosh, what is it on? I should really know this. It is on a Super Nintendo retrospective. We're recording this in between the Super Nintendo retrospective and the Mario Super Show episode from earlier this month. And like I'm really proud of that Super Nintendo retrospective, but I have to I have to already think about like what I'm doing next. Like I'm in the middle of planning content for 2026 like all my episodes in 2026. In fact, I have, if everything stays the same with the exception of a Patreon poll that I still have to pick the games for the Patreon poll, I have my first 4 months, 4.5 months already lined up for next year.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's not like guests aren't lined up. Only one episode so far in the new year has been recorded, but like I have like it's already playing out, which is cool. It's like I look at it and I get excited. I'm like, oh man, all these great conversations that are coming down the line. I'm really excited. But then I don't really get to like sit back and just think about and enjoy, what did I do this year? Like what's something I'm proud, like enjoy what I just put out, like enjoy the feedback, enjoy the seeing how people are receiving it type of thing. Like I feel like sometimes I'm so focused on the next thing that I don't get a chance to really sit back and just be happy with what I've done. And that's what I like about these retrospective episodes, is that it gives me a chance to like sit down and just kind of be happy with what I've done. So I always appreciate that.
Oh, same here, dude. You hit the nail on the head because I was about to say the same thing. That's why I think these retrospectives they're almost more for us, right? Like
Yeah.
it's almost like to look back and be proud because very much the same, man. Like there's so much going on in life and, there's some stuff that I felt really proud of at the time, but then looking back now, it's like, oh, that was really special. And like
hmm
when people say, hey, that was really special, it's like, yeah, it was.
hmm
I had a batch of episodes. I still say I think um my like 50th episode to like I'm gonna say like 65 or 4 are I feel are my is my best work that I've done so far. Like hands down. Especially 50 to like 60, those 10 episodes. I say like, I put those 10 episodes against anything any other podcast in my genre has done. As far as
mm
just with how good I feel about them and how well received they were and everything. It's just like and it's cool to be able to look back on that and be like, I'm proud of that. That was
hmm
cool. And, as far as stopping to smell the roses, I've been really forcing myself to do that with this project because for so long I didn't do that. And you and I have talked about it before, how like I look back so fondly on my time doing my old gaming podcast, Two Guys in a Game, which that's how you and I, linked up,
hmm
obviously. And like I look back on that time period so fondly, but like I was having fun, but I didn't realize how much fun I was having because I was so stressed out all the time worrying about because I was doing the Hodder show weekly. We were doing Two Guys in the Game weekly. I was doing Mics and
hmm
Beers. I was producing
you
another podcast. I was helping
dude,
with
you were
another
running yourself
podcast.
ragged back then.
I was. And like, I mean, that only lasted really a year because it just wasn't feasible. And I was not easy to deal with in that time period. You can ask my buddy Kaz. It's like just because I was always like, oh, that was a great episode. Okay, cool. What's next week?
hmm
And I think having one thing that I've been doing for myself to kind of combat that with tapes is I've really been trying to get ahead so that I can kind of sit with stuff a little bit more.
mm
And I can like go 2 weeks if I need to. Not that I'm in this position right now, of course, but there was a minute there where I was like a month ahead, you know
Wow.
and it was like, okay, 2 weeks into that month, I'd be like, oh, look at how well these are doing. And like, look at the response. And I'm really proud of these episodes. And it was that 50 to like 65 episode range where like I was good and ahead. So I was really able to sit with those and just be like, this is cool. And I always say to people, like, if you can get to a point where you can get ahead with your content, where you're like at least a month ahead comfortably, like it is so much more enjoyable doing this. Like
Yes,
it's great
dude,
to be
it
planned.
so is. It's
Yeah.
so true.
It's great to be planned ahead, but to actually be the episodes are ready to be uploaded, like they're scheduled to go live and they're just sitting there ready to go. Like I was literally like 5 or 6 episodes ahead, and I was just like, "This is amazing." And then you can take your time and do whatever. It's obviously different from my world because it's evergreen, right? There's no breaking news or anything of that nature that's going on.
Oh,
It's just
same with, because I
stories.
don't do
Yeah,
news stuff either, just
right.
retrospectives and interviews and stuff. But still, like it's all evergreen stuff. Yeah.
Which is why, still loading is so great because there's no,
Well,
you don't have to
it's
worry about
fine.
that. Listen, you're one of the best retro podcasts out there. Don't even say you're not. Don't.
I'm
I will
not,
reach across this table
because
and
I'm not retro. I do everything.
well,
So,
yes,
haha.
but yeah, you don't know what I mean. But
um,
anyway, I'm
yeah,
rambling, but I just want to say, like, I think it is truly important to have these conversations and look back, and it's crucial. Life moves too fast, and before you know it, you're 11 years into doing something and you're like, oh, like I've done some cool stuff.
yeah, dude. It's important, and it's just fun. So let's move on, dude. Let's go into some stats, as we always do. We can talk about our top episodes of the year, but before that, um, I want to talk about some stats that are specific just to my show, just because these are things that since you don't really have guests too often in your show, I know I kind of did. I don't know how you don't really have guests on it too often, right? Like doing like parts, right?
Well, so I do guest narration every so like in the batch of 10 episodes. Like, say for example, episode 12 and 18, I'll have guest narrators on.
Oh,
Um
okay. So maybe you'll have this then. I've been keeping track over the last couple of years how many total guests I have on my show throughout the year, and how many of them were first time guests. How many of them were brand new, never been on the podcast before. Um, and like it also helps because I usually do a big post, on New Year's Eve, just thanking everyone for the year, and I tag every single guest that I possibly can who has like a social media thing. Um, and so I kept track of that. And then I also kept track of how many games I've beaten this year, which there might be some more in between when this comes out and when, I might have one other game beaten between the time we are recording this and the time this episode actually drops. But, since I am a gamers podcast, I beat 28 games this year, which is low compared to other gaming podcasters. Trust me. Um, and 7 of them were not for future or current or future content. I just did 7 games just for me, just for funsies, which I think is important sometimes. Then, so that's that very quick stat. My guest total, though, uh, total total number of guests that I had on the podcast this year, I had 61 total guests on the show this year.
wow.
I mean, I get a guest every episode, so if you
Mhm.
think about that, uh, there's guaranteed, because my buddy Dexter, he's on once a month, except for 2 different months. So he's on guaranteed 10 of those episodes every year. So that means there's 52 weeks in a year. So that means I'm guaranteed to have 40 for the most part, unless Dexter joins me for an extra one after that. 42. I'm guaranteed at least like 42 or 43 guests. So that there's a couple double ups. Obviously, I have like sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 guests on an episode. But that's an increase from last year. Last year, I had 51 guests on the podcast. So I had 10 more people on this year. And I think they must have been all new people, because this year I had 32 first time guests on the podcast, and compared to last year, which there was 21 first time guests. So just about a 10, there's 11 person difference, but that's still just about the difference between the total number of guests between the last 2 years. So that's kind of cool. It's cool seeing those numbers go up, and like I have like a master list of all the different guests I've had. I should I'd have to I think I'd have to add, let me add all the first time guests from this year onto that list, just to see real quick, because now I'm curious, because obviously I don't repeat guests or anything like that. Total number of guests is now for the entire show is 193,
Wow.
which is kind of cool to see.
I need to do that for the Hodder show. See how
It's
many.
fun to see, man. It's fun to
Mhm.
kind of see those stats. So yeah, this year there was 61 people, including yourself. I
Yay.
included you on that list, and
Yay.
it was pretty cool. Um, yeah, do you have your guest stats? I didn't tell you this ahead of time, so I don't want to
That's
like.
okay.
If you don't have it,
I
you can just say I put you on the spot. So listeners,
That's
don't be
okay.
mad at him. It's on me.
I don't have that many. So it would be including the stuff that hasn't come out yet because I'm just as we are recording this, I am starting the 12 Scares of Christmas series actually
On
tomorrow
the
as we are
first
recording
scare of
this.
Christmas, my true love gave to me. Sorry.
A person tied up under my Christmas tree.
A
So
person wearing a moose jaw.
a person wearing a moose, a
A
person
moose.
covered in maple syrup, question mark. Yeah, so that guest list will increase quite a bit this year with the 12 Scares of Christmas because I have a guest on every other episode out of the 12. So I
There you
think when it's
go.
all said and done, I'm going to be at about 26,
That's pretty damn because you do
26
bi-weekly
guest
too, right?
narrations. I do weekly, but yeah, it's
Oh, you do weekly. Okay.
yeah, it's yeah, maybe more than that, maybe closer to 30, but a couple of those people are repeats because I have my normal episodes that are like, tape number whatever. And then I have 3 kind of like special series that I do, the campfire sessions, which I have a guest on every episode. And then I have my Halloween week where I try to have guests. And then I have the 12 Scares of Christmas, which I have guests on as well for. So probably closer to 30 when it's all said and done, but I'm hoping to bump that number up a lot next year and actually make a
Hmm.
master list.
That's pretty. Yeah, I did it. I did that list like once, like I think before like 2 years ago. I started it, and it just kind of just to keep track for my end of the year posts, and it's fun. It's fun to kind of see that stat, and I'm pretty sure I'm accurate. I might be wrong because I manually tracked it, but um, that's cool. That's awesome. But still, like 30, like 26 to 30 is nothing to sneeze at for something that is generally like it's a solo show. It's you doing narration. So the fact that you get that many guest narrators on is really cool.
And there was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new guest narrators who have never been on before, I think. Maybe closer to 8, something of that, somewhere around there. So that part was cool. And then obviously having, people who are now good friends being repeat guests is always a blast. And I didn't get a chance to get you back on, but I got a story for you. So we're gonna make that happen. I'd love to have you back on for to narrate a video game creepypasta.
Sure. I'll do anything. I don't know if I'm like the best at it, but I will do my damnedest.
I still say yours from last year was awesome. I don't know. I
Oh, I
thought it was
appreciate
great.
that. Thank you. Well, let's get into our stats now, TJ. Let's talk about our top 5 episodes in terms of like downloads and whatnot. Um, why don't we start off with you? What's your number? I was doing number 5. Did you get 10 or did you do 5?
I did do 10, but I can just do 5. That doesn't matter to me. Whatever you
Hold
want
on,
to
let
do.
me. Let's do 10. Fuck it. Why not?
Okay.
I can pull those numbers real quick for myself. I can get those other
Okay.
5 real quick while you're doing that.
Cool. I can start off though. But so what we did last year, because with tapes, my YouTube numbers and my main feed numbers, which is, I am a podcast, so my main stats come from Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something of that nature. But YouTube is important. There's some great folks who listen to my podcast over on YouTube only. So I wanted to give a shout out to those episodes as well. So I've got both. So starting off at number 10 on the main feed, that number 10th episode was tape number 62, The Cat in the Attic and A Good Night's Sleep, featuring my pal Madam Strangeways doing a guest narration. Really fun episode about things that go bump. And the
Mm-hmm.
cat is okay. Don't worry, folks. The cat is perfectly okay. And then over on the YouTube, one of my most popular episodes of the year, just not on YouTube. Oh, it was in the top 10 actually. and one of my most well received episodes, tape number 55, Shower Thoughts, which is a very
Hmm.
simple story about a dude having a bit of a breakdown, maybe while having a shower. Some totally normal stuff happens.
Totally normal.
Yeah, totally normal. I'll talk about that episode a little later more. Josh, how about you?
So for my number 10, let me scroll back down to it. On the main feed, on the podcasting feed, not YouTube. Actually, I'll start off with YouTube just because it's um yeah, it's not really indicative, but it is nice to see. Like, I actually had episodes that got over 100 views on YouTube, which I
That's awesome.
never do because like YouTube is not my priority.
Mhm.
It's just kind of like a place for people want to use that they can. So number 10 over there was Diablo 2 with Shane Selter from the Retro Hangover podcast. That was a really fun one. But I'll keep the YouTube comments on those episodes brief. I'll focus mainly on, the podcast feed. My number 10 for last year was Deconstructing the Nintendo Bump with Chris Copleen and Stika. Chris is also, he's the other co-host. Wow, that's wild. So Shane and Chris are the co-hosts of the Retro Hangover podcast, and they both of their episodes are in the 10 spot
That's actually
for
hilarious.
the respective for between YouTube and the main feed. Deconstructing the Nintendo Bump was a cool conversation though, because it was uh, basically in game history circles, and influencers and content creators and just online gaming, the online discourse of video games in general. Nintendo gets a really big like there's an outsized like piece of the pie dedicated to them. If when there's a lot of like video game history related things, a lot of times they will get credit for doing things first even if they really didn't, type of thing. And that's no shade at Nintendo, it's just how the discourse is gone. So we kind of looked at it like, why does Nintendo get preferential treatment by the public? Nintendo's not doing anything wrong. They're just a business doing their business. So why is it within the retro gaming community and the gaming community at large, like, why does Nintendo seem to get more favorable reviews? Why does Nintendo seem to get why does it hold in people the zeitgeist? Why does it have a larger share in people's heads and the zeitgeist and shit like that? So that was an episode devoted to just kind of like talking about like why we think that, because we don't know definitively. It's just kind of like, where does this Nintendo bump come from? Like, why is Nintendo so crazy popular? Like, it's stuff like that. So it was a fun conversation. So that was my number 10. TJ, over to you for your number 9.
Before we continue, I just want to say I think one of the reasons why Nintendo does get such a bump is because, if you're like me anyway, I am a Nintendo apologist because that's what I grew up with. I think
No,
it's
and that is definitely part of it, but it's
for sure.
what the like argument is like, there's a lot of people from other parts of the world on the internet too. Why do their voices get drowned out so much on it?
That's fair.
Like Sega is huge outside of North America, right? Sega consoles, like the Mega Drive outside of North America. We had the Genesis. It was called the Genesis for us, but the Mega Drive everywhere else. It was huge outside in like Europe and in like South America. There's also like entire video game markets that no one ever talks about, like in the Pacific Islands and stuff like that. Like, there's huge game studios out there doing crazy things in China and in I know China's not part of the Pacific Islands, but like that area of the world, like Asia in general, and it just gets no play. Stika is from Portugal, so that was kind of cool to get his perspective as someone who grew up in a completely different country than Chris and I. Chris and I are both Americans. So it was really fun to have him on the show, because he's a big proponent of that. He, for example, and this is going to make you upset, TJ, he thinks the N64 is super overrated, especially by Americans. And I don't disagree with him. I love the N64, but it is a very the people who grew up with it love it so much that it creates a weird disproportionate size in people's memories. It's interesting. So I like these types of conversations because it kind of further sheds light on the fact that there's a lot of aspects of game history and video games that just are not talked about because people are so focused on Nintendo. And once again, that's no one's fault. Like, you like what you like. Like, no one's mad at you. Like, I can't be mad at you for liking what you like, but maybe to also take a step back and just check out some other shit. Still like Nintendo. Still don't change the amount of love you have for Nintendo, but just maybe take a step back and look at some more shit.
What was that fella's name again?
Stika.
Hey man, screw you. I'm just kidding. I do actually agree that the N64 that was my main system growing up and everything, and I love it. And
same.
But like, when people look at me with a straight face and say, "Oh, bro, GoldenEye totally still holds up," I'm like, "What?" It's just
No.
Anyway.
It's fine. I once again, my hot take is that The World Is Not Enough is the better Bond game.
Agreed.
On the N64.
We have had this
GoldenEye
conversation before because I love The World Is Not Enough.
But anyway, so you're number 9, DJ.
My number 9, first off, over on the main feed, was tape number 53. These record store trade-ins are not what I expected, which record store employee gets some records traded in and they're a bit weird. So he listens to them and he hears some pretty messed up stuff. Wonderful story pulled off Reddit there. And then my number 9 over on the YouTube was a really fun episode. Actually, this is kind of hilarious. I just realized this. Tape number 54. So the episode after 53, of course. A story that was submitted actually by a young author who, after a bit of a weird situation arising with some AI content that they submitted, which then obviously I was not going to use because I don't use AI content.
Fucking AI bullshit.
I said, we kind of had a conversation. I said, hey, throw a story. And also I just realized it's not aisle 54, it's aisle 13. That's the name of the story, not aisle 54. I realized I wrote down 54. My apologies. Aisle 13, the story is called. I said, throw me a story that is just totally by you. And he did, and I loved it. And it's a great little episode, very fun. And dude walks into his favorite store to find that there's a 13th aisle that wasn't there before. He goes down it, and some weird stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And also included in that episode, so it was tape number 54, aisle 13, and the abandoned convenience store.
Now, not to throw this dude under the bus again, how can you be sure his other one wasn't also AI?
So number one, you have AI checkers, which are extremely accurate. It'll tell you down to the even if they use like a grammar checker thing, that's AI.
Wow. Okay.
So it's very accurate nowadays. And also, to be blunt, the writing was very different. There was a lot of like grammatical stuff and like some things that we had to kind of work on a little bit. Let's just say it was very apparent. It was very differently written. But yeah, that can happen. And it's all good. Like, he was a young man who just didn't understand. And I ended up loving that story. And it was really a lot of fun getting to do that. And hopefully maybe kind of spurring him along a little bit in his writing journey, but we will see.
Hopefully he realized the reason why take out the quality argument. It's just like the whole purpose of art is to do the art, not just the shortcut. Like the joy of art isn't just the end product, it's the process.
Yep. I will be here all day.
In case I haven't made it abundantly clear, listeners, fuck AI.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh dude, I am like, listen, up until one thing that was interesting this year, just really, really quick. So I was guilty of using some AI art in the early days of tapes. And that was something I was never comfortable with because I was like, I don't like that I do this, but like I need episode artwork. And a lot of the elements that you can use from like stock websites and Canva specifically are all AI. So
really?
I can't not use it. But from episode 55 onwards, I haven't used any at all, at least that I know of. If I have, it was totally by accident.
I mean, unfortunately, we're probably going to end up using AI stuff unknowingly.
Yes.
That's just because it's so pervasive, and fuck them. for doing
And,
this
like,
to us.
and you can really for the most part, you can tell it's pretty apparent, but, that's one thing I just wanna say that I was very happy that I was able to change over this year going forward.
That's
So, yeah, those
awesome.
are my number 9. How about you?
For me, my number 9 over on YouTube was something we're going to see a little bit later on the main feed, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker with Super Tendo. Super Tendo is a buddy of mine that I met through Instagram, a really fun content creator over there, and I was like, man, I like his stuff. He's a huge Zelda fan. I got to get him on the show. And we had like a 2.5 hour chat about Wind Waker. It was a grand time. Um, my number 9 over on the main feed, I want to see, does it appear farther up on the YouTube feed? Not that I can see. That is Metroid Prime with the British Bond Addict. I played Metroid Prime. I beat it for the first time. I had played it a while ago, but never beaten it. So I was very happy that I finally beat it, covered it on the show, and it was a great conversation with my buddy Chris, aka the British Bond Addict. So yeah, that was my number 9. What about you, TJ? What's your number 8?
So for number 8, we over on the main feed, we have tape number 48, Teddy and the Secret Lives of Toys. Two stories that probably don't need to be explained too much, both about toys and very interesting little stories, which did feature a YouTube narrator by the name of Noetic, a very wonderful narrator, actually out of Canada as well. So always great when I get to collaborate with other Canadians.
Does he also have a backpack full of maple syrup?
She does not.
She, my apologies.
No worries at all. It's Noetic. What does that mean, right? It doesn't.
I shouldn't have assumed.
All good. You didn't offend me. And she wouldn't care either. She's chill. But yeah, she might though. I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
Ask her if she's got a backpack full of maple syrup just lying around.
She got some weed. I know that for sure.
420, baby.
Oh yeah, big proponents of that up where she's from. And then over on the YouTube, a more recent episode, tape number 71, The Lonely Universe, which was a submitted story by my buddy Daniel Barton, which I will talk about a little later on, actually.
Okay.
So how about you?
For my number 8, it was, this is a fun one, Muppet Treasure Island with Doug Leaf and my brother, Mike Koval.
Nice.
Believe it or not, for those who do not know, you might have thought, are you just talking about the movie? Well, yes and no. There's a point and click adventure game of Muppet Treasure Island that came out in the 90s, and it fucking rules. It's awesome. I don't think, it does not show up on the main feed at also, but it was cool. I thought that was awesome that that this made it up there. It's a really good game. It's worth playing, and you can find a version of it. Sorry, hold on. I was like holding in a yawn. Okay. And you can find a version of it, like they basically, someone ported it to the like modern computers for free, and you can just download it, because it's like impossible to find, like you can't buy it anywhere, right? Like it's impossible to buy like a retail version of it now, because it's, it's not something, licensing and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's cool. So Muppet Treasure Island was number 8 on YouTube. Number 8 over on the main feed is something, let me double check, does that appear later on the YouTube thing? No, there is a couple that are like, there's one that's going to appear on YouTube that's going to appear later on the thing, just like with Wind Waker. Anyway, number 8 on the main feed is Bionic Commando with Diamond Fight and Chris Baines. Diamond, they are one of the hosts of the Retronauts podcast, one of my favorite video game podcasts, and in fact, Retronauts played a big part in my show this year, and I'll explain why a little bit later on. And then Chris Baines is known as Rewind Arcade on YouTube, and he does amazing video game documentaries on YouTube. So we had a great time chatting about the NES game Bionic Commando. That was, in fact, actually the next game on my list, which we'll get to after yours, is also part of this series. And back in April, I did a series called Punch a Nazi Month, where I just covered games all about punching some goddamn Nazis in the face,
Which is always acceptable, by the way.
Always acceptable. And there was no topical thing that is currently or was happening that made me want to do a Punch a Nazi month. Absolutely not. Nothing in American politics that
Of course not.
reminded nothing. It was just something I thought would be a fun idea. And I also decided that month, for those who don't know, that month, actually, you know what? I'll share it here. It is coming back next year. I'm doing Punch a Nazi month again,
Nice.
and I donated my Patreon money that month to the Trevor Project, because at the time that a lot of the suicide hotline for LGBTQ plus youth was getting defunded here in North America. So I was like, well, I can put my money where my mouth is, and I decided to the money from that month for Punch a Nazi month went to the Trevor Project, so that I'll be doing the same again this year, which will be cool. So Punch a Nazi month is coming back with 3 new games. I will not tell you what the games are yet, but yeah, it should be cool. So this and one other game from Punch a Nazi month made it into my top 10. So yeah, Bionic Commando.
Nice. I'm all for it.
Who isn't for punching Nazis? And if you're not, if anyone feels offended by that, that's very telling.
If you're offended by punching a Nazi in the face, maybe violence isn't the answer, bro.
Maybe you need to start punching yourself in the face then. Just saying.
I'm
Fix
all
some
for
shit.
it.
I'm chippy on this episode. I never get this snippy.
I like it. I know. I like it. I think it's good.
I don't know what's going on. Like,
listen,
people usually know where I stand on shit, but like I'm never usually like this like angry about stuff. I'm feeling snippy today. I don't know what it is.
Listen, we both said earlier we're old, man. We're getting old, dude. Like we're hitting our late to late 30s. We're just it's getting to be later in the evening. We've both had long days. We're both tired. We're just like, we're just punching.
See, I'm waking up now. This podcast is waking me up.
Good. I am too, actually, as it's progressing. I'm like, yeah, it's lighting a fire. Lighting a fire.
All right, TJ, you're number 7. I think we're up to 7 now.
Yes, number 7, coming in at number 7, Skibbity Toilet, which is what we did last year. It was all Skibbity Toilet and Riz and so forth.
I forgot that was our through line.
We didn't have a gimmick this year, but that's okay.
Gimmick is the backpack of maple syrup.
The backpack of maple syrup, which I'm all in on, of course. So yeah, number 7 over on the main feed was. So I talked about the campfire sessions earlier, which was basically, to be blunt, I was really burnt out. And I had a lot going on in my personal life. And I was like, I want to keep doing tapes because it's so important to me and I have so much fun doing it. But I don't have time to dig through to do like sound design and music and stuff like that. So basically, I spent 2 months uploading, actually technically doing more work than I normally did, which was kind of hilarious. But I took 3 stories, one of which was a guest narration, and I just added some campfire ambience, and that was it. No music, no sound design, just the story, the sound of a campfire, and that was that. And it was actually very well received. People had a lot of fun with it. It was very different from anything I've done. And it was very low stress for me because there was no, I need to find the sound of a what's the weirdest sound design I've had this year? Like I need to find the sound of a cat climbing a ladder. Like you have any idea how hard it is to find?
How do you do
fucking very carefully. I can't wait till I can start making my own sound design, which I'm going to be actually hoping to do next year, but we'll talk about that a little later. But anyway, so campfire sessions, a lot of fun, well received. I had the 7th edition of the campfire sessions because I did 8 of them. So I did urban legends. Like each episode had like a theme. This one was Urban Legends Volume 2 because I did Volume 1, of course, earlier on, and you might hear about that episode a little later on. And this one featured my buddy Neil Skarupa, who was a wonderful voice actor and also supporter of my podcast. He's like my number 1 listener, if I'm being honest. Also great dude, wonderful voice actor. And the episode featured him. And just for the sake of saying, the 3 stories featured was a story called Black-Eyed Children, which is a retelling of that classic urban legend of the black-eyed children. The Blackbird of Chernobyl, which should need no introduction. And then a story called Robert the Doll, which all three of those
Oh,
are.
that's the Chucky
Yes.
story.
Yeah, basically, yes. It's the one based on Chucky. So we did three.
Well, Chucky
I
is
did
based on
two and he
it.
did one. Yes. Yes. I did two. He did one. Really great episode. Big shouts to Neil, which you may or may not hear from him again, like literally in my next entry. Because over on the YouTube for number 7, next entry meaning in the number 6 spot, spoiler alert. Then over on the YouTube, a repeat with tape number 53. These record store trade-ins are not what I expected, making another appearance.
Record stores just bringing in the heat this year.
And that was a
Then
fun one because I got to do like cool like record store sounds and like rock, like, you know, you walk into a store and there's like rock music playing, and like I got to do some really cool sound design on that one. Actually, I will say I forgot how much I actually enjoyed that episode until I'm thinking back to it now. That was a really cool one, I won't lie.
for my number 6, I think if you're cool if I move on.
Absolutely.
For my number 6 on YouTube, it is Retro Gaming in High Fidelity with Try from My Life in Gaming. I'll explain that more, honestly, the next round, and you'll because that's where spoiler alert for for a little bit later. That's number 6 on YouTube. Number 6 on the main feed is Wolfenstein 3D with Ashton Ruby and Aiden Mower. Wolfenstein 3D was the first episode of Punch a Nazi Month last year, and Ashton is a good friend of mine. He's actually part of Retro Hangover, the Retro Hangover podcast as well. He is their he's their editor over there, but he also occasionally guests from time to time. And Aiden Mower is a kick-ass author, writer, and just friend. He's a good dude. He's been on the podcast a bunch, and he's always super supportive. So shout out to you, Aiden. Great person and great podcaster. But more importantly, he's just a good dude. He's awesome, and we had a great time talking about Wolfenstein 3D. So that's my number 6. We're getting up to the halfway point now, TJ. We're up to number 5.
This is where the fun begins. Well, I got to do my number 6, but yes.
Oh yes. Wait, no. Didn't you just do number 6?
No, I just did number 7.
No. We started with you. I thought so. This should be your number 5.
Oh, then did I reread my number 7? I must have, because I didn't.
Then I clearly was not paying attention because
I just did my number 7, dude. Did you not do your number 7? Was I not?
I did do mine. So my number 10 was Deconstructing Nintendo Bump. Number 9 was Metroid Prime. Number 8 was. Oh wait, no, you're right. This is 7. I'm so sorry. We are on 7. I jumped ahead. You did not repeat. I can't fucking count. This is number 6.
I think the
My
same thing happened
apologies
last year.
to you and yours this
sorry.
holiday season.
So what do you work for? We're sorry. What's that South Park bit where they drill into the ocean and release Cthulhu? I can't remember. But
I don't fucking know. We are on number 7 now. My bad.
Number 6 now.
Goddamn 6, motherfucking
yeah.
god.
Okay, so just to clarify, the ones you just said, they were actually your number 7. Okay,
yes,
cool.
They are my number 7.
So now we're gonna pretend none of that happened. I casted a spell. You don't know. Number 6, coming in at number 6 for me, over on the main feed, we have tape number 68, The Roswell Thesis, featuring Neil Scarupa, who I mentioned earlier. And this story was written by good friend of the show, Mac Ralston, who is a wonderful, wonderful creator that I got to know after we did one of his stories. Actually, Neil is like the official guy who narrates Mac Ralston stories. He's doing it again for the 12 Scares of Christmas because he just fits his style so well. And Mac's such a wonderful dude. Big shout out to him. If you guys are looking for some short form novellas to read this holiday season or a wonderful novel to read, check out Mac Ralston. Really great dude, big supporter of the podcast. But the Roswell Thesis is a really fun episode that is essentially about what really happened with the Roswell incident and aliens and why they're really here and what they're really doing. And I get to play a progressively crazier sounding scientist while
I
Neil
like it.
narrates the story. So that was a really fun one, very different voice for me. And then over on the YouTube, tape number 59, Death Rides a Pale Horse, featuring my buddy Dr. Torment, doing a poem he wrote about death, specifically riding a horse. And then I do the main story called Death Rides a Pale Horse. And yeah, let's just say a dude's walking in a park and death shows up. What happens? Who knows? And that's mine. How about your number 6 spot?
All right, number 6, the correct number, not what I've been doing before.
Coming in once again at number 6.
Wait, hold on. 1, 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, okay. So 6 is, and is it going to appear? It is going to appear later. Later on, early video game emulation with Zofar, and I'll explain what that is in a little bit later on. But that was my number 6 on YouTube. My number 6 on the main feed, what I was referencing before, retro gaming in high fidelity with Try from My Life in Gaming. In a nutshell, retro gaming in high fidelity is what Try's YouTube channel, My Life in Gaming, is all about. They take a look at some of your, they basically talk about tech that can take your old retro video game consoles and make them playable and beautiful on modern hardware, on modern televisions, to be clear. Because a lot of without rehashing the whole episode, because we kind of do like a really good overview of like what it all is, like why old consoles don't always perform great on modern TVs, even if they have the right inputs. And without getting into a crazy amount of depth, your old consoles were meant, like your old consoles output different resolutions than your TV. For those who, I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably already know, but think of it this way. Your TV can, if you're thinking about it in terms of like canvas size, like if you were painting a picture, literally painting a picture, say your canvas is like 5x5, right? 5 feet by 5 feet or something, like you have a perfect square. But your video game console can only output a canvas that would be maybe 3 feet by 3 feet. So what the TV would have to do if this was being shown on a TV is it would have to do calculations and adjust and try to fill in that extra space, like basically either zoom it in or like fill in the gaps and like basically create the things that are missing, that create the data points that are missing. And TVs really aren't designed to do that. On old school TVs, you didn't have to worry about the size of the TV didn't matter because the old tube televisions were a completely different technology than your digital HD televisions. So what Try and I talked about was how do you take those old consoles and what bits of hardware are available to you and for what price to take those old consoles with the low resolution and upscale it to a higher resolution, so that way when you're playing on your TV, not on your modern HD TV, not only does it look nice and crisp, but there's also no input delay because the TV isn't having to do a whole bunch of extra calculations it was never really designed to do. So yeah, that was a really fun conversation. And for those who have not listened or watched their channel, listen to the episode, go check out My Life in Gaming. A lot of really fun and informative stuff over there. So that is retro gaming in high fidelity.
That's awesome. And it's something that I think that I know from experience, doing those upgrades can be a lot of fun, right? Like it's something I want to do for the N64 at some point.
I'll keep it strictly to N64 if you want an easy way to do that. If you want to do it the right way, it's going to be pricey, but there are cheaper alternatives. But there is recently released this company called Analog, which does like really nice modern. Basically, you can plug your cartridges in. They make consoles that you can plug your retro game cartridges into, and it outputs natively in HD picture quality. So like you get these really nice picture quality, you get these really nice pictures on it. But they are crazy expensive, like $300 to $400. Like it's not like
Nope.
Uh, so yeah, there. Check out the My Life in Gaming channel though, because they not only talk about like the best of the best, but then they also give like, hey, if you are on a budget, maybe try this type of thing. So My Life in Gaming covers all that stuff. So yeah, it's
Cool.
cool shit, man.
That's awesome. I love it.
All right, what about now? We are going on to number 5 in earnest. So TJ, what's your number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Coming in at number 5. Number 5. So, over on the main feed, tape number 47, The Empty Suite, which I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I have no idea why this is number 5. It's not a bad episode or anything. I'm just shook that it's this high. It's a story about a dude who has an apartment below his and he hears some weird shit. So he goes to investigate and weird shit ensues. Is what it is. Not a bad episode. It's a fun episode. Had a lot of fun doing it, but just cannot believe it's that high. Over on the YouTube, we have tape number 50, The Itch, which is a great story that I got from Reddit. And I'm not shocked this one is number 5 at all because, yeah, great story. I'll talk about it a little more later on. How about you, Josh? What's your number 5 spot?
Number 5. Wow. Honestly, this is kind of cool to see. Let me just double check to make sure I counted correctly. Yes. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Yeah. Number 5 is literally the most recent episode that I released, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which does not make it into my top 10 on the main feed, but it made it into the top 10, which YouTube numbers are much lower, but still it's kind of cool. Yeah, it made it into the top 10. I should have done it by watch hours instead of views, but in any case, we're going by views for this. But the Super Nintendo Entertainment System with Dan Greenberg and Nadia Oxford. Nadia is also a Retronaut, one of the Retronauts co-hosts. There's a bunch of co-hosts of the Retronauts podcast. Nadia has been on the show once before, like I want to say like 3 years ago. So it was amazing having her back on. It was a great time, and it was fun talking about the Super Nintendo and the history of the system and the console wars and all that good stuff. It was a great time. So yeah, that was my number 5 over on YouTube, and then number 5 over on my main feed was The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker with Super Nintendo, which I touched on because that was number 9 over on YouTube. So once again, great conversation about Wind Waker with a cool dude from Instagram, Super Nintendo. So that's my number 5. What about your number 4, TJ?
It's always great when you meet cool people from Instagram. I have a couple of
We
those as
met through
well.
Twitter before that became a hell site.
I was going to say, or Twitter, which is how you and I met. But yes, I have 2 good friends now in my podcasting horror world that I'll give a shout out to. I'll give a shout out to them right now. Shout out to my buddy Kai and Madam Strange Race, who I shouted out earlier. Met them both on Instagram. So it's always fun getting to do that. My number 4 spots over on the main feed is a repeat of one I just said, tape number 50, The Itch, which I'm not shocked that one's up there because that was a really well-received episode. And then over on the YouTube, not shocked that this one is where it is either because of the popularity of the story. Tape number 56, The Quiet Sky, which I'm going to talk about a little more later on. How about you, number 4?
Number 4 for me, this one is going to come up very shortly as well. I'm really proud of this episode, and I'll explain why a little bit later on, but it was called How Strategy Guides Were Made with David Cassidy. I'm going to go into more depth a little bit later on for that. So that's my number 4 over on YouTube. My number 4 over on the main feed, something that we saw earlier, I think it was at number 6. Yeah, it was at number 6 on YouTube. Early video game emulation with Zofar. I touched on it before, but Zofar, early video game emulation, basically, like everyone knows about video game emulators. You can you can download an emulator and get totally legal ROMs from websites and all that good shit. Well, Zofar was the founder of a website called Zofar's Domain, which did not host ROMs or anything like that, but it was an aggregator. It was a website that helped you find basically learn how to emulate and that kind of stuff. And Zofar found it when he was actually pretty young, like in his late teens, early 20s. So we talked about how he founded Zophar's Domain. We talked about like emulation and why it gets such a dirty, like why it gets such a bad rap, even though there's a myriad of things. Like a lot of people associate it with theft, which, don't get me wrong, there is a lot of theft involved in that community, but like emulation itself isn't bad, and it's a whole thing. It was a really great conversation, and Zophar is a really good dude. I really enjoyed having him on the podcast, and it was worth talking about early video game emulation. It was cool. So that was my number 4, and I think then, if you're ready, TJ, we can get into our top 3.
Yeah, top three. Top three coming in hot with me over on the main feed. Another repeat, tape number 56, The Quiet Sky, which, again, not shocked this one is where it is because of the story. And once again, I will talk about this episode a little more later
What an
on.
evocative name, too.
The Quiet Sky. It is a wonderful, wonderful creepypasta. Very great story that I will talk about a little more later on. Then, over on the YouTube, no shock of this one as well, tape number 52, It Calls from the Deep, featuring my good buddy Dr. Torment, doing probably my favorite narration he's ever done. Not just because he did it for me, but like he did such a great job. It Calls from the Deep is basically the story of the first ever expedition into Marianas Trench back in the early 1900s, which obviously didn't happen. It's a story, guys. But the episode starts off with me playing a very old man on his deathbed, telling the real story as to what happened. So it's one of those fun things where I got to just sit back and let one of my buddies tell the story, and I got to just kind of build around it with music selection and sound design. And it's a really great story, really fantastic narration by T. And big shouts again to Dr. Torment. He is a great creator over on YouTube. If you guys enjoy horror stuff with someone who has a very wonderful accent, he's Belgian but speaks like 7 languages, so he has a very interesting accent.
Oh, so he's a polyglot.
Yes.
That's my big boy word for the day.
I don't even know what that word means. I'm just gonna say yes. And
polyglot is just and you can speak a lot of languages.
Yes,
multiple languages.
He's one of those guys. This is a dude who I was in a Discord call with him once, and our friend Isha joined in, she is very French. And him and I were literally talking about like Star Wars, and then she jumped in and he just started speaking like fluent French, like not even like a second thought. And then he was like, anyway, so Emperor Palpatine. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And like,
that's wild.
I knew he could do it, but like I kind of like forgot. Then I was like, speak Dutch. Then he started speaking Dutch like nothing happened. Speak something else. And then he just started speaking like Russian. I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, it's just my buddy Dr. T. And those are my
fucking
number 3s.
Smart people. God damn it.
Oh, dude, it pisses me off. I hate smart people. It just pisses me off. And he's too talented too. Like that pisses me off too. It's like, number 1, you're really smart. And then number 2, you have like this wonderful, sultry, awesome voice that is just like everyone
jealous.
Knows. I'm like, dude,
so jealous.
Anyway, coming soon to the Tapes Trepidation merch store. Fuck Dr. Torment t-shirts.
You're too goddamn smart. The Dr. Torment story.
Yes, you're too damn smart. No, big shout out to my buddy T. I love him. He's a great guy. How about your number 3 spots?
My number 3 over on the YouTube is Parasite Eve with Michael Berger of the Bits of Time podcast. Parasite Eve is a really cool like horror RPG from the PlayStation era. Have you ever played it?
I have not.
Really cool. I think you would dig it, especially since you're into horror stuff. It's a JRPG. It's developed by the same people who made Final Fantasy, Squaresoft. So, well, it was Squaresoft back then. Obviously now it's Square Enix. But really cool horror JRPG. Really interesting game mechanics. Had a great conversation about that with Mike Berger. That was part of my backlog month that I do every year. Which the time this episode's dropping, backlog month is either like the backlog month poll is starting soon on Patreon or has ended. I'm not quite sure. I think I usually do the backlog month poll. I start that the last week of December, last full week of December. So actually, by the time this episode comes out, it will have just ended, I think. And then, but I basically backlog month, I put 16 different games up, and my patrons can vote for as many as they want to, as many of the games as they want to. Obviously, they can only vote once per game, but they could vote for like 5 or 6 different games. And the games and the 4 games that have the most votes are covered in October. And Parasite Eve won this year, so that was really cool, and it was a good time. So that's my number 3 over on YouTube. My number 3 over on the main feed. This was a big one for me. I referenced it before, just a little bit. Actually, it was number 4 on YouTube, but it's number 3 on the main feed. How strategy guides were made with David Cassidy. So you remember strategy guides for video games, right, TJ?
I sure do.
So I did an episode where I interviewed David Cassidy. David Cassidy wrote strategy guides for some of our favorite games, like the official Brady game / Prima guides, strategy guides back in the 90s and early 2000s.
That's awesome.
He wrote the Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. He wrote the Final Fantasy VIII strategy guide. He wrote Kingdom Hearts 2. I mean, some of it he co-wrote. I don't know. So some of the ones, I think he also did Metroid Prime, which that one I believe was co-written. But yeah, it's crazy. He wrote all those. And so I found him by complete random chance on Threads, like the social media platform Threads, that I never fucking use. He uses it a lot. I'm not a big fan of Threads. I'm on there, but like I'm not really, I'm not really on it all that often. But I found him on there. I sent him I tagged him in a post. I'm like, hey, David, would you like to come on the show? He did, and he's been honestly a supporter of the show. I don't know if he listens every episode. David, if you listen to this, shoot me a message or something. Let me know. But he likes every time I share a post on Instagram and it gets auto shared to Threads. He'll like the post, like for a new episode, like it come like he will like it shortly after the episode drops. So it feels like he's paying attention for it, or I don't know if he's doing that or not, or it's just random chance. But still, like, it's really cool. So shout out to David Cassidy, and I'm super proud of that episode, because one of the things I've always wanted to do, and I don't think I've ever felt smart enough to really do, is do actual like game history preservation work. Like, I think what I do on the podcast, the conversations are fun and engaging, and I sprinkle game history stuff in there, but I'm not really like breaking game history news, right? Like, I'm looking at other people's research and I'm finding a way to sprinkle it in through the conversation and this and that, like that kind of thing. With the How Strategy Guides Were Made episode, I I can't say for certain, but I believe I got information I have not seen elsewhere on the internet, which is really cool. One of the things that I learned from my interview with David was, and it technically, if you're going by views, this would have been my number 3 all time video, but it was a YouTube short, so I'm not really counting it. There was one of the things he talked about in the back of the strategy guide for Final Fantasy VII. There is a world map, and that's how they are in like all strategy guides. You'll see a world map of the game of the RPG you're playing. And in the olden days, what they would do is they would just get screen grabs of different parts of the world, and they would just kind of stitch all the screen grabs together. But on the PS1, the camera can move. And so how do you make sure that like you keep the camera consistent? It wouldn't work the same. It just could not work the way they did it beforehand. So they had to find a way to do a world map without being able to stitch together a bunch of screen grabs. So they commissioned an actual artist, and there is an oil painting they commissioned an oil painting of the Final Fantasy VII world map, and they took a really high quality professional photo of it, and that is what's in the back of the Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. And I asked David, I'm like, does this painting still exist? He's like, yeah, I know the guy who still has it. I'm like, that's crazy. So like the oil, like the painting, the picture that was used for that world map was an oil painting, and that oil painting still exists somewhere. Like, that's so fucking cool to me. And I just learning stuff like that about how strategy guides were written and how he got into the industry. It was just one of the most interesting and fun conversations I ever had, and I cannot thank David enough for for guesting on the show to talk about it. He was wonderful.
That's killer. And like what a crazy story to tell on the podcast. Like just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, we had this like it's like he probably didn't thought it was like this like totally like not big deal, but it's like, you know how insane that is? That it's there's an oil painting that you had commissioned and that's the world map. That's crazy.
It's really cool, man. He was so nice. He was such a nice dude. And I actually want to get him back on the podcast for something else. I have an idea. I just have not reached out to him yet. And I just because like when I want that episode to come out, it's not going to be for a long while. Cause like I said before, I have like the next 5 months planned out on the show. But I have some ideas that I want to like throw his way. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it should be cool. So I'm I really that episode I'm just insanely proud of. Like I cannot believe I got to chat with someone who did such like one of the coolest things like ever. And on top of that, Final Fantasy VIII specifically, like that strategy guide means a lot to me. I told him it on the episode, but like I carried that strategy guide with me everywhere when I was a kid because I was just so obsessed with Final Fantasy VIII, so much so I was borrowing. It was a friend's strategy guide, and I'm pretty sure I were like it's basically busted. I had to buy another copy off of eBay because like my version was falling apart. It just I love that strategy guide so much, and it made my enjoyment. I like Final Fantasy VIII, but that game is very obtuse, and I think if I had not had the strategy guide, I would not have fallen in love with the game. Which is a little damning of the game, but still, I still love that strategy guide, and so this episode just meant a lot to me. It was awesome.
That's killer, dude. And like to be able to have that conversation with him, and like I'm sure that probably meant a lot to him too.
I don't know. I don't know if it did, but it meant a lot to me. So like I don't want to presume for him, but he was awesome. I do hope to have David back on the show because he was a really fun guest. But all right, TJ, over to you for your number two. I'm sorry, that was just my number three. So now we're up to number two.
Number two. Coming at number two over on the main feed. Another repeat, but again, not really shocked this one is where it is. Tape number 55, Shower Thoughts, which I will get into a little bit more later in this conversation. But
so that's the number one. I understand.
Yeah. Actually, it's not. It's not.
It's at number two.
We'll talk. We'll
There's
talk
only
about
two spots left.
We'll talk about our favorite episodes.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
God, stepping all over me, telling me what
I am. I apologize to you.
It's not like we haven't done this like 7 times. No, I'm just kidding.
Right?
I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. Josh and I are friends. We can talk to each other like that. It's fine. Somebody like, yo, teacher guy's a dick. I'm just kidding, guys.
No.
But it was such a great creepypasta, and it's such a creepy story because it's essentially just about a dude who like basically his psyche just completely breaks essentially, and he kind of just loses it when he can't shower anymore during a shower.
Don't we all? I don't like feeling dirty. I understand.
I don't either, but it's the only place he feels safe is in his shower because all the things that he sees outside are grotesque and horrible. And is he talking about monsters? He seems to think he is. So what do? Well, some shit goes down, let's just say. But I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to our favorite episode section. And then number two over on the YouTube, I'm going to be blunt with you guys about this. My next two spots on the YouTube, I have no fucking idea why these episodes are here. I really don't.
That's my number one on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just, oh, dude, same. I'm going to go off a little bit about it probably. Tape number 57, Infinite Library. Fine episode. But it is, in my opinion, it was a requested story, so I did it. It's just it's a creepypasta about this library that you can find your way to with a ritual, and you can find any book ever written in literature, no matter what it is. You can find it.
Okay.
But you can also get lost and die there if you don't follow the rules. Fun little creepypasta. I have no idea why it's my number two for the year. Algorithms are weird.
Algorithms are weird.
Yes, that's all I can say. But like, fine episode. Had fun with it. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it, but just shook that it is before
Mhm.
The Quiet Sky and a bunch of other ones. But anyway, neither here nor there. How about you for your number 2 spot?
My number two spot over on YouTube is something that it's the only time this has happened in the entire list. It is the same number two for both YouTube and the main feed.
Now
So
that's cool.
it is Castlevania with Jeremy Parrish. Um, Castlevania was part of my backlog month as well. That was so actually two episodes out of the backlog month made it on YouTube. It looks like only one from backlog month made it on the main feed, which is this one, Castlevania. This one was super important to me because Jeremy Parrish is one of my biggest inspirations. I really look up to the work he does. He is a phenomenal games writer, and he was a journalist for a number of years, and now he does Retronauts. He is one of the main co-founders of Retronauts. A lot of the other guests I had on, Diamond Fight and Nadia, they have been frequent guests that turned into like one of the rotating band, excuse me, that have turned into one of the rotating hosts of Retronauts. But Jeremy was there from the beginning. He founded it back when it was oneup.com, and then did it for a number of years with oneup.com. Then when OneUp went away, him and Bob Mackey and Ray Barnhold rebooted it. And they did that in 2013 when I actually first discovered them. Then that's when I first started listening to them, and just and it's just continued to take off since then. Like Retronauts is a huge video game podcast, and having the co-founder, or I don't know if he is the founder or co-founder, I don't know exactly, but he is one of the he is like one of the founders, if not the founder of Retronauts. And having him on the podcast was just a huge honor for me. I was very nervous going into it, especially because Castlevania is like his favorite game series. So I was so honored that he agreed to come on the show to talk about it. And it's funny, it didn't make it into the top tens, but I actually had another Retronauts one of the like I said, there's the three people that rebooted the Retronauts podcast in 2013: Jeremy Parrish, Bob Mackey, and Ray Barnhold. I had one other of them on the podcast this year, which was a really big like honor for me as well. So it was kind of cool to have two Retronauts like found it. Well, one definitely because he started it in the one updates. I just don't know if Bob or Ray also was with him when he started Retronauts, but it's crazy. So Castlevania, it was awesome getting to play it and beat it for the first time with no save states either. I beat it without save states, which is crazy because that game's fucking hard as shit. And it was an awesome time. It was a great episode, and I'm just so honored that Jeremy agreed to come on the show. So shout out to Jeremy, awesome person, and just very happy I got to have him on the show.
That's awesome, and I'm so glad that you got to be able to speak with someone that you have such admiration for. That's killer.
There's a handful of guests that are on like my whiteboard of like, like, or a vision board or someone, whatever you want to call it. Jeremy was one of them. He was one of the guests that I had on my dream guest to get on the show. He was like, no, and this is no offense towards him, the others are a little bit harder to get. It's like Kevin Smith is one of them, which that man is so busy, and I don't even know if I'd really be able to like get him on the podcast now, but like Kevin Smith is one of the reasons I started podcasting as well, so I wanted to get him on the show. And then Matt Gorley, who I know he knows my show exists, but I don't think I will ever get him on the podcast as well. Jeremy and I are at least in the same sphere, with gaming and whatnot. And I've had other Retronauts on the show before, which also helps. So like, it's just it was awesome getting him on. So I'm just so grateful that I was able to get at least one of like my dream guests on the show, and Jeremy was one of them.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I love to hear stuff like that. And never say never about getting those guests on. You
You
never
never
know what
know.
happens in life.
I'm not holding my breath. I just, if an opportunity arises, I will find a way. I've tried to reach out to Matt Gorley a bunch of times, like through Instagram DMs and stuff like that. And, he's got a ton of followers. He's also not the biggest social media user. He does it mainly just to promote his stuff. He's not like someone who like is active on it all that much, because it like I think the vibe I've gotten from it just tweaks an anxiety type of thing, which is valid because social media is designed to kind of do that. So I don't know if I'll ever be able to get a chance to have him on the show. Plus, also, he is the producer of Conan O'Brien's podcast, which has gotten huge, like from the moment it started off. So
Mhm.
he was the producer of it because he's a well-known podcaster. And then it's funny, if you listen to the early episodes, Matt doesn't really talk because he's just the producer. But uh normally producers don't always talk on mic, but Conan, being Conan, always kept like kind of asking him questions and engaging with him. So eventually he just became one of the primary, like he just kind of became part of the team. It was just kind of cool. So we are up to our number one now, TJ. Our number one most popular episodes of the year. What are your number one episodes of the year?
So I'm going to start off with YouTube, because I was a little harsh on this episode earlier, and I kind of meant to be tongue in cheek. Um, but my number one episode over on YouTube by a mile, like it's not even up for debate. It's actually my number one episode on my channel by quite a bit.
Mm.
It came out January 3rd, 2025. So kind of hilarious that, it's tape number 45, KXXV New Year's Day Interruption. And I should have been doing this the entire time, but here's the actual like little blurb. At 1:42 a.m. on New Year's Day of 2002, the ABC television station in Waco, Texas, named KXXV, was hacked into and a creepy broadcast was sent over the airwaves.
Mm.
Very creepy, kind of like media-based creepypasta, which I love media-based creepypastas. I always think they're very interesting. Written by basically the person who was like in charge of the creepypasta wiki, post
Mm-hmm.
I always mess up their name. But yeah, it blew up, and I don't really know why. Like, again, fine episode. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was kind of different for me, but I definitely don't think it's my best work. Is what it is.
Don't
I don't
question it.
really,
Don't question it.
yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it. I feel kind of bad, but great story. Had fun doing it. No idea why it's number one. The algorithm is weird. That's all I can really say about it. But over on the main feed, and I'm going to get into a little more detail about this shortly, but my number one for the year over on the main feed, again, by quite a bit, was tape number 61, Regret on a Lonely Road, which is
Hmm.
actually an original story that I wrote about a man who finds himself driving on the familiar back roads he has frequented throughout his life after his heart is torn out and his entire world comes apart. Will he find the
Okay.
peace he seeks on the dark, quiet roads? Um, this is a very special episode, and I will go into a little bit more detail shortly when we get to our favorite episodes. But it was very overwhelming that this story was number one, that this episode was number one,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very special for a number of reasons. And the compliments that I got for this episode was very overwhelming, especially from
That's
a couple of
awesome.
people who I really respect. So that was cool. So that is my number ones. Very cool. I really happy with my list. Obviously, there's some repeats. I meant to do the blurb for each episode. I was going to do that this year. And I totally forgot. But with that, Josh, my friend, what are your number one episodes this year?
Oh man! So real quick, honorable mentions to my two reels that actually had it that did pretty well. Well to my standards. The Final Fantasy VII World Map oil painting, and then my number one was a reel called "Is Ultimecia the Sam Reich of Final Fantasy VIII?" That is a very weird deep cut with Dropout TV, the streaming service, and Final Fantasy VIII. So shout out to that one. It honestly doesn't make any sense to explain it right now, so I'll just leave it at that. You have to listen to it if you really are curious. But the number one episode on YouTube, and I genuinely, I, I am so confused by this because it's not an episode. Like every episode it was my number, like on the ranking on YouTube, came out this year, with the exception of this one. This episode is Three Ninjas Kick Back from which came out 3 years ago
I remember that
on May
episode.
22nd, 2022, with both my brothers, and we are talking about the movie Three Ninjas Kick Back because um there is a video game based off of Three Ninjas and Three Ninjas Kick Back. So that was my excuse to have them on to talk about Three Ninjas. And for some reason, it just did, like, and I'm not I would say it's over almost double. It is almost double the amount of number two. It's not quite. It's like maybe 20 shy. But like I don't understand. I don't know why it all of a sudden blew up, but okay. Fine. Cool. Sure. Why not? Why not? So that's number one over on YouTube. Very strange, very bizarre. My number one over on the main feed, on the podcast feed, also almost by double, a little bit. It's I would say it's actually about 100 less than double, but still it's like almost it's a significant more than number two. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door with Try from My Life in Gaming and Jared from the Play Along podcast. So that is Try making 2 appearances in the top 10 this year. The man just apparently brings the heat for the show. So, we talked about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Every year in March, I do Mario Month, which is all Mario, related games. And this year I did all Mario RPG games. So it was it was Super Mario RPG for the Super Nintendo. It was Paper Mario. It was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. It was this one, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door, and then Mario and Luigi Partners in Time was the finale for Mario Month this year. So I covered a whole bunch of RPGs this year, and this one just for some reason just really took off. Paper Mario: Thousand Year is a really popular game. So honestly, I'm surprised by how popular the episode is, not because I think the episode's bad. It's just that, like, the episode has done so well that, let me put it, yeah, this is crazy. It is arguably my number 2 overall of all time. That's how well it did this year.
That's killer.
Like there's it's technically listed at number 3, but Final Fantasy 9 is my number 1, only because at the time that came out, I got advertised like a free, like, advertising thing that they were testing it out, and that bumped it up to like over double like what the number 2 slot is. So I'm not really counting Final Fantasy 9 at the number 1, because I would say probably it's closer to being in the middle of the top 10. Like, I still think it would have been in like a really high ranking, but nowhere near where it is actually. So technically, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door, I'm just going to declaratively say it. It's number 2 overall, even though it just came out in March of this year. Like, nothing else in my top 10 overall is from this year. It's crazy.
That is kind of hilarious, though, when you think about it.
Yeah, it's cool. I love seeing that shit. Like, in fact, I have one from this year. I have one from last year in my top 10 overall, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 from 2023 in my top 10. So 2023 apparently was just the year my show was really good.
Well, I mean, it's
I don't know.
always good, but yeah.
Oh,
here or there.
Yeah, so those are our top 10 listeners. Those are our top 10 episodes of all time. Not all time, sorry, of this year.
Top 10 episodes of all time.
Now, real quick, I want to let's break down our download locations real quick. Like, which countries listen to us the most? TJ, why don't you just list all 5? Or how many do you have? I should say. How many did you break down?
So I'll do 5. So I mentioned earlier this year, I was really not earlier this year. I mentioned earlier, I should say, that I was actually shocked to see. Whoops, that's not for that podcast. No one needs to know how many downloads 2 Guys in a Game got this year. Where are you?
I'm loving it.
It's great, actually. So, number one is the United States, which actually Maine is the number one state.
Shout out to Maine, closest to Canada.
Yeah, there you go.
Closest to Canada. That makes sense.
So it goes Maine. I didn't know I could do this actually. I just found this out. Can I click on it again? I good. Shout I good. I good. What does that mean? Shout outs to whoever
I don't
lives in
know.
Bangor, Maine. They listen to my podcast a lot. 99.4%.
I guess.
Who is from Bangor, Maine? Anyway, so it goes Maine and then Sacramento, California. That's just so cool. I didn't know I could do that. Shoot, sorry guys. I'm getting all excited. I didn't know I could zoom in on the actual town. So anyway, sorry guys, I'm getting distracted. Squirrel brain. So it goes Maine, not Maine. What am I doing? I'm trying to just say the countries. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's use take 3 here.
No, we're using all of this.
We're using all 3. That was a joke, by the way, guys. So it goes the United States, Canada, which just for shits and giggles, Ontario's number 1. Oh, what? Excuse me. I can't zoom in on the cities in Ontario. God. Freaking ridiculous. The United Kingdom is 3rd, which England is number 1. Shouts to my boy Dews, who is definitely that guy. Australia is number 4. South Australia specifically. And then India is number 5. And I'm not going to try and pronounce the region because I'm not going to be able to.
For myself, U.S. is my number 1 overall. So if I don't count the U.S., because that's not surprising. Like I think, I'm a U.S. based podcast. It's a lot of like North American centric video game stuff. So like, of course, it's going to be more popular in the U.S. So if I discount the U.S., my number 5 most popular is Australia. So technically number 6, but you know what I'm saying. Australia, then Spain, bizarrely enough, is at number 4. China would be at number 3, Canada at number 2, and the United Kingdom at number 1. Once again, excluding the United States. If you're including it, bump everything down 1 slot. But if you're excluding it, the UK. So TJ, I'm disappointed in you Canadians. You're bringing you're not supporting me here. What's going on?
So I had a conversation with all Canadians, and we all agreed that the support for the Still Loading podcast needs to increase next year.
You better start with Ontario, goddammit, because I broke it down also by province, and Quebec is a lot higher. Hey, this is on you.
Shout outs to it is on me.
Solely on you.
Well, you're my number 11th most listened to podcast this year. So, hey, throw that out there.
Thank you. That's more than I listen to you. So I
don't
have a leg to stand on.
I didn't see Pennsylvania in my top thing at all.
That's right. Fuck it. No.
That's right for you.
No, but in the UK it was then also Scotland for some reason had like the most listens in Scotland, and then Greater London, and then the Southwest. They just said Southwest. They didn't say like a specific town, just a region, I guess. Southwest. And then in the US, it's interesting. If I break it down by states, it's California by a landslide. Oh, actually, sorry, no, not by a landslide. California and Texas are very close. California is number 1. Texas is number 2. Technically, number 2 in terms of download numbers, it's just listed as United States -other. So, like, just the U.S. in general. But if you take that out, it's California, then Texas, then Arizona, and then 4th is Pennsylvania. My home state can't even get into the top 3. Like, what the fuck, Pennsylvania? Come on. So yeah, that's kind of cool seeing the where everybody was listening to and whatnot. I'm trying to see if I go all the way. Let's go to my least listened to country. I'm going to go to the very bottom, right? There's a number of countries with only 1 download. We have Uganda, Azerbaijan, Qatar, Nepal, Senegal, Ethiopia, Algeria, Georgia, Jamaica, Guatemala, Libya, Myanmar, I don't know how you say it, Kuwait, Montenegro. There's a whole. I'm not going to keep reading them, but there's a whole bunch of like one download countries.
Yep.
Uruguay. Shout out to the listener over there. Appreciate you. But all right. So those are our stats for the years for this year, listeners. Excuse me. I'm all over the damn place. Let's do this because we are running pretty long already. We are, I'm not surprised. We're at an hour and 40. This is something that we do every year. We go really long in our annual retrospectives. I didn't really like, because this kind of ties into, you were talking about our favorite episodes of the year. I'm gonna do, for me, proud moments / favorite episodes, and like it's kind of like I'm gonna do kind of a combo of the two, for me at least. So do you want to do like maybe three of our favorite episodes / moments for the year?
Sure, let's do that.
Cool. Why don't you start?
So I'll run through my three, you run through your three, then we'll get out of here. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. So for my third, tape number 56, The Quiet Sky, which I did talk about earlier a little bit. It was a really fun story, really popular creepypasta. It's essentially a Lovecraftian-like alien that hears the broadcast that humans put out into space and then slowly comes for us. And it's really a horrifying story because it's about the unknown. And it's a rather long one, for me at least. And that recording session was interesting because I thought the story was a lot shorter when I started it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized like halfway through, I still have like a couple thousand words to read. So it was almost like I kind of tricked myself into doing a longer story, which was fun. And one of the reasons why I had so much fun with it, aside from the narration was a blast to do, I got to do some fun world-ending sound design right at the end of it. That's the last thing you hear on the episode. And it was kind of on a whim, and it was really well received. A lot of people said that it was a really fresh take on this creepypasta, and the narration style that I did, and the last thing you hear in the story being some sound design that I did and came up with. That's something I really love doing on the show. It's almost like I extend the story a little bit with audio because that's something I'm able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really fun and very well received. And it's always cool when that gets to happen. And then also the fact that it's in the top 5 is very, very cool for me. As for my number 2, tape number 55, Shower Thoughts. I already kind of talked about what the episode's about, but this one is fun because right now, if you ask me to send you an episode that I feel is probably the best episode overall of tapes, it's probably this one, because people have said it is without a doubt my creepiest performance to date and my best performance to date overall. That they actually got goosebumps a few times from it due to not only the content of the story, but my performance in it. Because it's essentially a story about someone's psyche just fully breaking. So it goes between extreme emotion and anxiety and all those feelings of like this guy's basically just like having a panic attack. And he's like, it really delves into some mental health stuff. And then it breaks and he just basically goes insane. So then I have to kind of flip the switch real quick. So that was a really challenging performance for me, and I gave everything I had into that. Also, the sound design and everything, the music for it. It's such a killer story. And a couple of my voice actor friends who I have a ton of respect for, who also don't give praise easily. Like they're always very kind, but like I know when I've done something good when they're like, dude. And this is one of those moments where my one friend, she literally sent me a screenshot of the episode and she said, "This one got me." And I was like, what do you mean? She's
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
I literally had to stop listening to it at one point and like leave the room I was in because it was freaking me out. Like just I felt so like claustrophobic in the room I was in because of what you were talking about and stuff. And like the range that you showed going from narration range to the voice acting range, like she's like, dude, you fucking brought it on that
That's
one.
awesome.
And kind of went a little feral for a minute there. Which is cool. That's, so that one is really, really special for that reason. But my number one, kind of already said it, but probably no surprise to anybody. It was also my most downloaded episode of the year. Tape number 61, Regret on a Lonely Road. This one is special for a number of reasons. Mostly it's due to the fact that it's an original story that I actually came up with this idea a while ago. And I finally sat down and wrote it during what was a 3-day power outage that we had after a crazy ice storm that we had in
Wow.
town here. And I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping because I use a CPAP and I can't sleep without it. And I don't have a battery for it.
Hmm.
So I basically just wasn't sleeping for like 3 days. So you could maybe say I was
Little loopy.
a little loopy. But I sat down one night at like 3 in the morning because I wasn't sleeping. And I just finally wrote this story out. And it's essentially the story of a man who loses everything in terms of like love in his life. I said earlier his heart being torn out. I didn't mean literally, but yeah, his heart's basically torn out. And during the narration and throughout the story, he hints at that he did something terrible. He did something horrible. And
Hmm.
he is after his life has kind of come to an end in his own mind with the love of his life. Essentially, she just leaves him, basically, is what happens. He retreats to these back roads that he always used to go to, and he would go for drives with the windows down at night and to clear his head and stuff, which
Hmm.
that's all from me. Like, that's how I spent a lot of my teenage years and a lot of my young adulthood, was doing that kind of stuff. Like, I'm all about it. I still do it to this day. So I put a lot of myself into this story, aside from the obvious things. But it's funny how so many people thought they knew where the story was going. And I got several messages about this where they were like, oh, yeah, it's pretty apparent what he did, the horrible thing that he did. And then the reason why this story I think was so well received was, number one, the narration was very emotional for me. There were
Hmm.
several times where I like actually cried during the narration process, which is always interesting when you're trying to channel that emotion.
Hmm.
Um, but people were like, holy fuck, like you took it to another level on this one, which again, that's so kind. I literally had tears in my eyes when some people said that. It was really cool to see. But the fact that the reason why this episode is so interesting is because it's not really creepy right up until the end. The last like minute and a half of this story is like, oh shit. And I'm very proud to say nobody saw the ending coming. I thought it was pretty
That's
apparent,
awesome.
but apparently not. And it was so well received. I think that's why it was so well received, because it's such a different story for me, because it's not like your typical creepy podcast story. It's rooted in reality. It's a very real thing that happens. Even the thing that he does is very real, and it could happen because all monsters are human. That's a trope I love in horror. And I'm smiling ear to ear remembering this and just thinking about this episode, because it's very special, and I'm so thrilled to be able to kind of break it down and talk about it. And also the fact that it was my most downloaded is just very cool.
That's so cool though, because that's like it's one thing when you read someone else's work and you are, you get compliments on that, but when you are the one putting your heart and soul into it and it gets compliments and it resonates, that's amazing. That's awesome, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, man. And like, obviously having a story, like I've done my own stories before and they were well received, but like the fact that this one was kind of risky, 'cause it's not creepy. Like it's like about a 10-minute long story, and there's no elements of horror really. There's like some hinting and stuff, but like it's kind of just like almost like dark and unsettling, kind of, but like a more
Hmm.
emotional right up until the end. And
Yeah.
the scene where things are realized, I go from like weeping to like hysterically laughing,
Hmm.
which kind of spoils the episode a little bit, but that was the scene where a couple people were like, dude, what the fuck? Like
Hmm.
I was like going, oh my God, like he's actually like weeping, which I actually was like actually crying, which is kind of hilarious. Cause like I'm not really an actor, so I have to actually make myself cry, guys. That's how that works. Um yeah, a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear, man. That makes me happy. I'm happy for you. That's awesome.
Thank you, man. And now I'm excited and happy for you because I want to hear all about your three proud moments and episodes of the year that were your favorite.
So for me, it was kind of like I would say just in general, Punch and Nazi month. I was very proud of this year just because it was a lot of fun to do. And also like, it was like podcasting with a bit of a purpose, like I said, donated the proceeds to, this is not like, oh, good for you. You donated for charity. Aren't you a good person? It was just, I haven't done
Sure.
something like that for the podcast before. And I want to hopefully continue that as well. I also still have plans to do a charity stream at some point. I think I've said that like every goddamn year we've done this. Same with the kind of like narration, the story, like
Yes.
I have that sci-fi story I want to tell, that video game based story I want to tell. So that's going to come at some point. But my overall just like Punch a Nazi month was just very proud of that. Very proud that I put that together kind of last minute, and I had so many people willing to like help me, and like so many people willing just to jump on and do the podcast with me. So shout out to Ashton Ruby and Aiden Mower for Wolfenstein 3D. Shout out to Dave Petrangelo for oh my gosh, for Medal of Honor Underground, and then shout out of course to Diamond Fight and Chris Baines for Wolfenstein, or not Wolfenstein, I'm sorry, Bionic Commando. So super grateful for all of them, and it was just awesome. My number two, I mean, this is not really in any specific order, but I guess number two, for lack of a better term, is just having Jeremy Parrish on the show. I already talked about it a whole bunch, so I don't need to repeat a lot of it here, but once again, bucket list guest, finally got him on the show, and I'm just very, very grateful to have him on the podcast and count him as a guest of the Still Loading podcast. Just really cool. So I'm not going to go too much more than that, just because I've already talked about it ad nauseum. And my number one I've also talked about ad nauseum, and it was the strategy guide episode. Like that thing was just genuinely just super grateful I got to do that and just have a wonderful conversation. And I've already talked about like why it meant so much to me, and I still stand by that. Obviously, I just said it a little bit ago, so of course I still stand by it. But really, really proud of how that turned out, and just grateful. And just in general, looking back at my list of games that I covered this year, just really grateful for the year that I had, because it really was like I was saying before, on a personal level, it was a very stressful year, and I'm just so happy that I put together a string of content I'm genuinely proud of, between Mario month, between Punch and Nazi month, between the strategy guide episode, between some of the conversation, like the more conversation focused episodes versus, or like topic focused episodes versus like a specific game, like deconstructing the Nintendo bump that I mentioned before. Also, I interviewed Lane Nooney, who they are the managing editor of an academic journal called RomChip, which is like, think of it this way, like at any point, any part of academia, you generally have like an academic journal that has like peer reviewed essays and stuff about whatever portion of academia it's for, whether it's like medical or environmental, or like sociology or whatever it is, like some study of in academics. And RomChip is that for video game history. It's a peer reviewed video game history like journal, and it's just really cool that it exists. So I was really happy Lane agreed to come on the podcast and chat with me. That was awesome. In fact, I told them about the not the RPG, I'm sorry, the strategy guide episode, and they said like you should like transpose that over to like a written version and send it. Like we could probably get that put in the academic journal, which if that comes to fruition, if I can do that the right way, I might actually get published in an academic journal, which would be fucking crazy. If that actually works out, we'll see. I have to actually figure out the proper way to do that. I have some of it already done, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, just really really cool. So, but yeah, those are just some of my highlights for the year, man. Just I'm really grateful for this year because it was a tough year. And actually, you know what? I will say this. I because actually I realize it's this episode will have already come out by the time this episode comes out. Um, my Atari Party episode, which is yet to be released at the time we're recording this, but I recorded at a live event this year. So it was a really crazy recording situation. I think the audio turned out as good as I possibly could have gotten it, and I was really proud considering I had no way to sound test it prior to doing it live. So
which is always weird.
yeah, it's a little weird, but it worked out. It worked out, and it was in an enclosed space with a lot of people and very noisy, but I was able to get it done to the way I needed to. So Atari Party was a ton of fun, and I'm really proud of that episode because it was 4 or 5 live recordings with a bunch of cool people, and I had to string it all together and get it done in a quick turnaround time, and it was a grand old time. So yeah, the 2025 was probably one of the most stressful years of my life in a like that I can remember, just on a personal level. But in the podcast, bizarrely did not suffer. I thought I would have. Like it was definitely a blur. Like it felt like this year went by so fast. But like I'm really happy with this year, and I'm just very grateful to everyone who has come along for the ride. So yeah. 2025 was, outside of the U.S. being a fucking dumpster fire, is a pretty damn good year.
Yes. I didn't really talk about what happened with me this year, but like, no point in getting into it now. But basically, like this year also, unfortunately, was very, very, very probably one of the most stressful years of my life as well, actually. And I'm just very happy that I was able to go with the podcast this year with tapes and just have that outlet. I'm grateful that my wife and my family and my friends, everyone's doing good. We're all healthy and all that now and everything. That's the number one thing for me at this point. And I am so very, very grateful to everyone who has supported tapes this year. I'm very grateful to the people on the Hodder show who are currently listening to this. I know that it's a bit weird. I didn't really talk about the Hodder show at all this year, but there's going to be something else coming this year for you guys. So stay tuned. I give you my word, and we'll talk more then. But big shout outs to the listeners of the Still Loading podcast for entertaining my goofy, weird Canadian ass again. It's always a blast getting to do these with you, Josh. And I know that, like we always say, we don't really get to talk as much as we would like to, and our content is so different. And I would love to say that I'll be on. I think there was an episode we were gonna do together, and then like
Yeah, it
it
was going
fell
to be
through
on
last
Aiden
minute.
Chronicles,
Yes,
the first mage.
we'll do that one day. One day, like 10 years from now, we'll do that. But I don't even game anymore, really. Like it's weird. It's just life and stuff. But it's always great getting to talk to you, man. I appreciate your friendship and the fact that we've been friends for like literally like almost 10, going on almost 10 years now is pretty crazy when you think about it. Almost 10 years, not quite. Coming up on
Yeah,
9, I guess. But yeah.
it's wild, dude. And dude, I appreciate your friendship as well. One of the things I've really like, the things that the podcasting in general has done for me is I've made so many amazing friends through this. And you were, like I said, you were the first one that I actually kind of started bonding with. And in all honesty, like we got together before I really considered my show. And I don't mean this to be too self-deprecating. I think I'm looking at this, I feel pretty objectively. I'm not like mad at myself for it, but like before my show got good, I think my show got good in like 2020. And that's not to say that there's not good episodes back in 2017, but like I was still going through not the motion. Sorry, I was still going through my paces.
Mhm.
Doing my 1,000 hours at the time of like learning how to podcast on the fly, and like you people can hear the show evolve over that time, which I think is cool. I think it's cool that you can, if anyone who is interested can go back and listen to how my one, my voice has changed, the way I present changes, how I cover different topics changes and stuff like that. And I back then I was doing a lot of just like local recordings, and then once the pandemic hit, that's when I really suddenly kind of started understanding what I wanted to do with the podcast. So yeah, it's just um it it's been fun to see both our podcast and our personal lives grow over the last like god like 8 years at this
8
point. It's
years at
crazy.
least,
So
yeah.
yeah, but that, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. TJ, thank you once again for joining me and for coming on for our annual retrospective episodes. I'm always, like I've said, I say it every single time, always like, I don't know if like people like this type of thing, but I always get kind words about our retrospective
I
episodes. Like
do
I
too.
just generally, like I think people enjoy the candor and that kind of thing. So I mean, this year I was definitely there was a lot more candor. I was very punchy. I was very angry
It is what
about
it is.
lots of things. I was
Last year it was
cranky.
all about we were really silly last year. So, like, I think we kinda had to
Mhm.
rein it in a little bit more this year and be a little more serious, but, next year we'll get back to being just super ridiculous and yeah. I'll just come out of the gate swinging. I will like "Skibbity Riz" or whatever. Say something stupid.
That'd be funny. But yeah, so let's wrap this one up, man. Happy 2025, y'all. Thank you all so much for listening throughout the year, and 2026 has some cool shit coming up. Like I don't, I can't say what's going on for TJ over with Tapes of Trepidation and the Hodder show, but at least for Still Loading, like I said, I have up to May already planned. Like Jesus Christ,
That's awesome.
um, is going to be cool. And also, if things go according to plan, I always say I'm trying to. I think one of my goals last year was to get more first time guests on the show, and I did that. Next year already, that I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new first time guests already that
That's
I know
awesome.
of.
I love it.
So it should be a cool time. So yeah, TJ, thank you once again for hopping on. If you are to be found online, where can the good people find you online? And is there anything you'd like to promote?
So, if you are currently hearing this and you are not familiar with me, and my podcasts, I do my horror podcast, Tapes Trepidation. You can find it any podcast app. Specifically, if you want to follow me, you can do so on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. I also have a Discord, so if you're into that kind of thing, you can come hang out there. I have a great little community. As far as the Hodder show, it is still technically kicking. My podcast I've done coming up on 10 years in February. Well, not really active anymore, but that's neither here nor there. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. And me personally, you can find me on Instagram under TJ Hodder, HODDER.
All
R.
right. Arr.
R.
As as per usual, you can follow me on Blue Sky at stillloadingpodcast.com. I'm not over on the other place anymore like I was last year. For any Tapes of Trepidation or Hodder show listeners, I'm not over on Twitter anymore at all. My account is, but I'm not really over there anymore. So at stillloadingpodcast.com over on Blue Sky, at stillloadingpod on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook, and on Twitch. That's my handle over there, mainly on Instagram, and then I also stream on Twitch whenever the hell I'm able to. Lately, I've been streaming a lot because I'm actually like really far ahead in terms of editing. Though this one is going to be a quicker turnaround time, but still, it's weird to feel that way. So that's where you can find me on social media. If you like the show and you want to support it, please consider giving it a 5-star rating and review on whichever podcasting app you use. Same with Tapes of Trepidation. If you like that, please give it a 5-star rating and review or whichever
Please,
podcasting app you
I
use.
beg you.
It helps more people find the show, and it pleases the algorithm gods or something like that. So that's very helpful, and it's free. Just takes a moment of your time. If you really like the show, we both have Patreons. TJ, why don't you shout out your Patreon real quick?
So Patreon, you can find your Tapes of Trepidation. Just search Tapes of Trepidation. I do a $1 tier, $5 tier, and then higher tiers. You join at the $1 tier, you get access to the behind the scenes podcast within the archive, which this episode is actually going to be on that feed for free. But normally I do weekly behind the scenes content. You get your daily dose, your weekly dose of me talking about the episode that week and a bunch of other stuff. I've done interviews with cast members, Q&As, things of that nature. Then at the $5 and above tier, you get bonus narrations you won't hear anywhere else and other stuff.
Awesome. For myself, I have a Patreon as well, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. I also have a bunch of different tiers. For $1 a month, you get all the episodes earlier with better audio quality and patron voting rights, which I already touched on before. By the time this episode comes out, the backlog month poll will be done, but my quarterly Patreon poll will be either just starting or is in the middle of it. It is basically, I do polls quarterly to help guide the direction of the show. So you can, for just $1 a month, you can get all, the early access and better audio quality, and you can help guide the direction of the show with the polls. For $3 a month, you get everything you heard of the previous year, plus patron shoutouts, which you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get both of the previous years, plus 2 mini bonus episodes every single month, which currently there's over 100 of. I have over 100 mini bonus episodes over on Patreon, and they're all just waiting for you, all at the $4 level. And finally, there is a $5 tier, which you get everything, all the previous years, plus access to my monthly movie podcast, which right now, the time this episode drops, is called Still Muppeting. It's the only Muppet movie podcast where all the guests who join me, we play the music, we light the lights, and we talk about the Muppets on the podcast tonight. And that is all over at patreon.com/stillloadingpod and at the $5 level. And if you don't want Muppets, we covered all the Fast and Furious movies over on the Still Family Show, which is at that level, and all the James Bond movies, which is Still Bonding, over at that same patron tier. So lots of content at the $5 level. That is all over there. If you think about 25 Bond movies, 10 Fast and Furious movies, 11 if you count Hobbs and Shaw, and so there's a ton of content over there. But anyway, that's it. That is all the time I got for you today on this episode of Still Loading / Tapes of Trepidation / The Hodder Show. Thank you all so much for listening. TJ, thank you once again for joining me.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
And with all that said, listeners, Happy New Year, and I will see you all next time.
Peace.